Good evening and welcome to Critical Thoughts. I'm your host, Braxton Smith. Tonight it is January 8th, 2017. And tonight I wanted to talk about, I actually wanted to lead in a whole series. This is the beginning of it. I've got 5 topics I wanted to discuss. And the overall theme is the homogenization of culture in the U.S. and the globe itself, actually. We're seeing a homogenization of culture globally, but I wanted to focus more on America. And I had several topics. I wanted to talk about the mainstream media, how movies and television itself have become homogenized. I wanted to talk about food and music and commodities. So all these things we've seen how how there's it's coming to a point now where like anytime you want to be a monopoly in any one of these industries, you have to have algorithms laid out. You have sociologists and have a lot of people tapping into what people are looking into, like so far as Google search. People go to search things on Google, and you have sociologists look into that, and they add that to their whole theorem on exactly what it is that people crave. And so, I had huge implications on that just can't be completely discussed in one video. So I broke it up into multiple sections, and tonight we're going to be talking about food. This is something I've been wanting to talk about for a while, and this is actually something that a lot of my other cohorts here on Critical Thoughts actually probably bash me about constantly, because I'm all about eating organic. I'm all about eating like locally grown products, and I hear it to no end. I'm constantly being bashed about how asinine that is. So tonight I want to talk about that and why I believe that. It's not political. Not every one of these discussions, that's the whole point of this page, is critical thinking. It doesn't have to be political. It can be, it's really supposed to be about the evolution of our culture itself. And so, one of the things I wanted to bring up was the fact that something that disturbs me is the fact that, looking at, for instance, Lay's potato chips, everybody's eating them, and, you have your chicken and, fried chicken and waffles, for example, and you have all sorts of these different flavors. They sound awesome. Like, granted, I'm like listening to that, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. But what they're playing into is it's marketing, and they play into the psychology and the algorithms of like what people talk about, and everybody's all about that, classic American breakfast dish that is pancakes and waffles and bacon, obviously. And so what's interesting is, at one point, isn't it interesting that at one point we had people, you had all these companies, food companies, they used chefs. You had chefs that created these foods that would go out into the market. And now it's chemists that like pinpoint exactly what flavors are popular with society these days. It just creeps me out, the fact that like food is about the chefs. It's not about chemists, but now it's all down to chemistry, because they're tapping into the algorithms of society these days, and like what people put out. And it's just interesting how we've, everybody's the same, and people go out to eat, and a big example of that is McDonald's. God damn, I forget the guy's name. I can't remember the guy's name. It's not really important, but there's a gentleman that the whole reason he actually adopted McDonald's, their model, and then he took the model out and developed a franchise that went nationwide, where I read a whole book on this about how this guy, and I can't quite nail his name, again, it's not important, but he went out and he took this model of like understanding that people like something that they were familiar with, and he'd go town to town and he'd make all the restaurants the same. All the McDonald's were going to be exactly the same. It's all about branding and marketing and making every restaurant the exact same. And so, what's really interesting is like McDonald's has exploded into this huge thing, and like now, isn't it crazy? Did you know that like the McDonald's arch, the M, is actually more recognizable than the Christian cross? Like in the world, more people understand what the McDonald's arches are versus the Christian cross. I just that blew me away when I found out about that. But so here you have somebody that brings familiarity to every single town you go to. So one of the biggest reasons why, like at one point, I romanticized, just as everyone does, about traveling the world, seeing all there is to see. And then, like, what destroys all that for me, and why I'm just totally content with just cooking my own damn food, is the fact that, every place is a different name for the same place. You go to a different country. It's like I went over to Faslane, Scotland, with some mariners, and I was actually one of the duty drivers, and I was like looking in the navigator, and it just blew me away the fact that one of the most commonly looked up destinations was McDonald's. These guys just traveled like thousands of miles over to Scotland, and rather than experience the culture and the individualism that is Scotland, like it's totally different. It's a foreign land, and they want the familiarity of their own home, and they're just exactly what the market expects. They're exactly what the market has created, like the market understands and has assimilated them into the hive mind, and they fall for it. They, rather than experience the culture, they want what has been told is their own culture, that is the hive mind. And you just, here you have people coming thousands of miles rather than experience the native lands and the cultures. They're experiencing McDonald's. Major disappointment for me. Granted, I didn't have haggis. Haggis is the very thought of it is disgusting, but I did have shepherd's pie, and it was some of the best I've had. Just saying, like, go out and experience the culture. It's huge for me. Something else I wanted to bring up is like the branding, the name. When you go out and you shop and say, for example, you decide, no, I'm not going to go eat out. I'm not going to go to McDonald's or Wendy's. And maybe you don't even want to go for the mom and pops that are actually going to give you a taste of the native culture. You decide you want to go out and buy your own stuff to create your own dinner for that night. And then what do? You listen to what the market has told you is the correct answer. For example, Pillsbury is one of the brands that really grinds my gears, I guess you would say. The fact that Pillsbury sells you, baked goods, and people trust that brand, though. That's a brand that they've become familiar with, and this brand has become so powerful and has been around for so many years, decades even, that people no longer question it. They have like this blind faith and loyal, even in our own libertarian community, where we're all about questioning everything, questioning the establishment, but we don't question the corporations. And so here you have Pillsbury selling us products that are laden with aluminum sulfate. Aluminum has been proven by scientists to be a very probable cause of Alzheimer's. Never mind all the other implications with the ingredients that are in it, but do we ever really consider beyond the name brand? We never go for like the local mom and pop stuff. Like we're just been programmed. It seems like we've been programmed to only receive a certain brand and accept a certain brand. And it's like we're so damn predictable. Like where's the human individualism? Individualism's been destroyed, and we've all become this collective hive mind where we're just so damn predictable that they have a brand out. Like, just popped up in my mind, like the whole Yeti cooler system. Like everybody's all about that, but like, did you know that they're made in China, for example? I'm tapping into another subject here I wanted to talk about, which was commodities. But they're made in China, for fuck's sake. But everybody like looks at them like they're just some American-made quality brand that, hey, I'll pay the extra dollar to get this quality. But no, you're just paying that for the name brand. You're just paying it for the trust that you have in this corporation. But you don't, for a second, do we really question like where these products are coming from and the values that these companies hold and the principles. So I don't know. That's about all I had for this. I'm just talking about the homogenization of our culture. It's in every aspect. Tonight, again, we were talking about food. Obviously, there's several aspects to it, but again, this is just the beginning of it. I'll be filling out multiple aspects of it. So please leave comments and questions below. And thank you again for tapping into Critical Thoughts, breaking through the white noise to bring you the media that matters.